This is the Rita Cosby Show.
Boy, are we in trouble on our southern border. And if you see some of the numbers that are just coming in, it is the highest number of illegal encounters in American history since the Department of Homeland Security has been keeping track of our southern border. And that's because Biden has made our border wide open. It is a free-for-all on the U.S. southern border. And to me, it is just outrageous. What is wrong with this president that he can't protect the sanctity and the borders of our own country? I mean, what is going on with him? Here it is at this point in October, by the way, since October of last year. We are already 440,000 known gotaways. Those are the ones who are usually the worst of the worst because they didn't get apprehended. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they went. And that's a huge number when you think about it. That's 1,800 at least a day of people that we have no idea where they came from, where they went. And those are the ones we don't know about. We do know that since October, about 1.5 million have entered the country illegally. So in less than a year, that's how many have entered the country illegally. And to me, this is outrageous. And it's an enormous security risk. And the fact that this president doesn't seem to even want to say the word border, let alone go to the southern border to go check it out. This is atrocious. To me, this is a huge issue because you look at how many people are coming, and it's not just they're coming, of course, through the southern border, but they're not just from Mexico. They're from, Central America, South America, Middle East, China, Russia. You don't think we have something to worry about now when you hear of all these different ones? In fact, some of the estimates are that it's about 150 basically different countries, nationalities coming through. And guess what happens? You can't check to see if they have a criminal record or if they have any issues in their country. There's no way you can check. They're not even checking the ones in our country. And you think they're going to check the ones in another country? That ain't going to happen. There is just no way. And we are not able to keep track of them. And border agents just feel demoralized. They feel like they're babysitters. I mean, this is just, it is such an overload of our system. And this is while Title 42, that health provision that came in during COVID, is still in place. So can you imagine if they lift the COVID issue, the Title 42 issue, as if this is not a free-for-all now? Oh my goodness, we're really headed into tough times, guys. We are dealing with a horrible economy, worse than Jimmy Carter's. President Biden is dealing with worse poll numbers than Jimmy Carter's. And now we have a wide open border. We got a war, of course, with Russia and Ukraine. And we're going to get to that later on in the show because there's some big developments there with now potentially 3 Americans that are believed to have been taken into captivity by the Russians. These were folks that were helping the Ukrainians, not like through the U.S. military, just sort of on their own as freedom fighters trying to help out. But that really complicates the mess, having basically 3 Americans in there now taking, basically taken into custody. And they're going to be used as pawns by Putin. And we're going to definitely talk about where that is headed. But in the meantime, we have a major issue on our southern border. And to me, when we think about how every state has now become a border state with these sort of secret flights in the middle of the night that have gone into the Westchester County Airport, that have gone into Newark, that have gone into Nashville. There are reports that some of them have even gone into Washington State, definitely into California. Basically, every state has seen suddenly these buses just kind of show up or these flights just show up in the middle of the night. And now, again, we are getting these historic numbers that are an enormous concern. And the latest numbers, by the way, for the month of May, puts it around like 230,000 plus. And that basically makes it the highest number of encounters. These are the ones we know about in a single month since the Department of Homeland Security has been keeping track. Boy, thank you, President Biden. They're not talking about escalating gas prices. They're not talking about the problems that are happening with our Supreme Court justices and their security as people are bracing for a verdict, a decision potentially coming down as early as next week from the Supreme Court. And they're definitely not talking about the southern border. And now we're hearing that our president is planning on doing a trip to Saudi Arabia and Israel. And all of that is very important stuff. I don't like that he's going to Saudi Arabia, by the way, and begging for oil. I like the idea that he may be doing some sort of peace negotiation and maybe some potential breakthroughs with Israel and other Arab countries, in the area, other than some of the other ones that were part of the Abraham Accords. This could be an addition. So if that happens, that's some good stuff. I don't like him begging for oil because of his crazy policies in America. But the fact is, right now, he's not focused on our southern border. And that is an enormous, enormous catastrophe. So I want to ask you tonight, why is he ignoring the U.S. southern border? Why has President Biden not gone to our southern border as president? And in fact, even before president, we heard that he did basically like a little pop through one time when he was doing a campaign speech. It's like, this is such a pivotal area. And I don't care if you're not a Texas lawmaker. He's from Delaware. Every state is affected by what's happening. And Americans really care and are concerned. So why is he not doing it? It's really interesting, especially this week. We saw a big success of a congresswoman who's right there, basically in that key border region. A Republican seized the seat from a Democrat in a special election. And guess what? Meyer Flores, her husband, is a border agent. And she also said she came to the country illegally. Her parents are from Mexico. She came as a young child, came here, became an American citizen, also talked about huge border concerns. And guess what? Lo and behold, she, a Republican, won what has been predominantly a Democratic seat. So is this a sign that the tide is turning and that people are much more concerned about crime and security and all these things, and that the Democrats are going to pay a dear price in November? I think they'll pay a big time price, everybody. What are your thoughts? It's 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Phil on line one. Phil, what are your thoughts about these huge numbers at the border? It's a big concern.
Yeah, good evening, Rita. The thing is, the sheer volume of people should tell you something. It's not 5,000 or 6,000 people every so often coming through. It's tens of thousands of people. Look at the Haitians, 15,000 in 1 lump sum. The point is, the government wants these people here in the country. There's a connection here with Nicaragua, El Salvador, and the rest, these Central American countries, because what they're doing is they're disposing of excess population. People who are poor and broke, they have absolutely nothing. That's why they're coming here. If you've got a good income and you've got some standards, you're not going to come running to the United States. You've already got it made wherever you are. What they're doing is they're emptying out their country to make way for change. And the problem is, why deal with poor people? Send them to the United States. The United States gives them money, gives them programs, and also the Democrats want it because it's going to guarantee. If you start handing out free baby food formula and you start handing out debit cards, prepaid debit cards, et cetera, you surely got their vote.
Yeah, and you bring up a powerful point when you brought up the baby formula, Phil. All I could think about is the Congresswoman, Kat Kamek, who exposed that. While there's a lot of empty shelves, as we know, big time across America, and there's a number of states where they can barely get baby formula. That down there, she showed what was in a warehouse. Remember those shots that she put out there, Phil? It was stunning to look at those pictures. And it was like pallets after pallets after pallets, a baby formula. And it's like, wait a minute. It's down there for them, but what about for us? I mean, wouldn't you think that you would want it for Americans first? And yet it's like Americans are like, scrapping like we're a third world country. And yet if you come through the border illegally, somehow there's plenty of baby formula, plenty of free services, plenty of all these things. And, it's outrageous, Phil, because, at a time where we are also very tight right now, as you think about it, with the economy. I mean, look what just happened this week where the interest rates rose, and there's so many issues that are going on right now. And to go into this position, we can't be in a place where we're sitting there handing everything out to everybody else, especially people who are coming illegally. I mean, I understand why they want to come here, but it doesn't mean that they should get everything for free.
Also, may I say one more thing?
Absolutely, Phil. It's great to hear from you.
Okay. Here's the deal. I had some contact with the United States Department of State, the people who deal with immigration, et cetera, visas, passports, and such. They're claiming that it's online. It's a 2-page email memo. They're talking about the Mexican government reported that they have a 24% increase in the number of serious COVID cases in the country. And they're saying to American tourists, do not come down here. You're risking your health.
Where is that? Where is that, Phil?
The Department of State, the U.S. Department of State, Immigration Policy Procedures, and the requirement for other countries that you want to go to. You just click it in.
Oh, no. But I was asking if there was a specific country, or is that a series of countries that they're saying it?
Mexico.
Oh,
Mexico. Yeah. They're claiming that they just had it over the past 6 months, that there's actually, it's considered what they call a, quote, very hot spot, unquote, that 24% increase in serious COVID cases.
Yeah, now, yet they're bringing them across the U.S. border at an unprecedented pace.
Why?
Right.
Who knows?
That's outrageous. And you hit another great point there, Phil. And Phil, thank you very much for the call too. It's always great to hear from you. But the COVID rate, because we know for a fact that this is not surprising to me what you just said, because of course, look at the conditions that they're in and think about how that is going to contribute to any health issues and sanitation and all that other stuff. You're sleeping under a bridge, unfortunately, or you're, moving, X miles a day in a caravan. Guess what? There's a higher propensity, obviously, to get, coronavirus or some other disease. And yes, they've always tested quite higher in general, even the ones they've tested that have come across. But the issue was they didn't even test a lot of them. And the other thing I think about, Phil, in the middle of all this, remember when Jen Psaki, who was then the White House press secretary, she was asked, do you remember this? She was asked, hey, isn't it a big concern that, those who are crossing the border, it's X% higher positivity rate of coronavirus? And her answer, I couldn't believe this. This was to Peter Doocy of Fox News, said, well, they're not going to be here that long. Are you kidding me? And they're going to be here a long time, and they're like seeping into the country, and most of them never to show up again in court, because they're able to sort of game the system, and they know it. And yet, you're bringing them into the country with a high positivity rate. And now, as you just brought up so eloquently, Phil, there's another big warning there coming from Mexico. So what are we doing? We're just saying, come on in. Do whatever you want to do to America. I mean, to me, it diminishes this country. It's an insult to the people who come here and go through all these steps. And to me, it is just outrageous. I want to play a comment, actually. This is from Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich, because he absolutely says that it is Biden's open border policies that have caused this situation.
These are tough Arizona cowboys, and they will tell you that they're afraid of what's going on right now. And so the cartels use all of the border patrol being taken out of the field to process individuals. They're using that as an opportunity to smuggle record amount of drugs into this country. And that's why we're seeing the price of fentanyl go from $20 a pill to $5 a pill, not just in Arizona.
Wow, what a mess. When we come back, I'm going to continue with your calls. What's your reaction to these historic numbers of those who have had encounters? This is the biggest number since the Department of Homeland Security has been keeping track. And also the number of people that just got away that they weren't even able to apprehend, that snuck away from authorities. Those are huge numbers. You got almost 500,000 of them since October of last year. And yet, The Biden administration doesn't even want to address it. 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show.